One more thing which is coming up, and I will recommend people to go check it out, is Open Avenues Foundation. It's in Massachusetts. They have created a tie-up with universities, and they can hire you as a fellow. Right now, they are looking for the fall admissions. You have to work with them, teach, or whatever the requirements for the program is, 5 hours a week, and they file an H1-B cap exempt for you. What that does is then you can have an H1-B concurrent with another employer who is not cap exempt.
Hi, Sonal. How are you today?
I'm very well, Priya. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you so much for taking out the time and joining us. For anyone who's new here, I'm Priya from It's OKR, and It's OKR is a content platform for South Asian immigrants, and we aim to entertain, educate, and empower them. Today's session is super important. We have an immigration lawyer with us, Sonal. I will hand it over to her in a minute to talk about her law firm, and a little bit about herself and how you can reach out to her. But today's topic is going to be, what are your options if your H1B hasn't been picked as a STEM and a non-STEM student? So this is going to be the topic for today. And please hit that subscribe button before you move forward. It's going to really help us. Thank you so much for your support. So Sonal, let's begin. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how people can reach you, and then we can dive straight into the topic.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me here. So I am Sonal Sharma, immigration attorney based out of New York. My law firm is situated in Manhattan, downtown. Address is 90 Broad Street, New York, New York, 10004. You can reach me via email, sonal@sharmalawsassociates.com. You can check out the website, sharmalawsassociates.com. And you can reach me by phone, 646-360-5955. So I focus mainly on business immigration and family immigration. Most of my clients are corporate clients, and I help them bring over their workforce here and do the non-immigrant visas for them and green card processes for them and their families. So that's basically comprises of 90% of my practice, and about 10 to 15% is about the family immigration, relatives filing for their like spouses or parents or kids, those kind of cases I also do. And from all those also stem some waivers issues, some complicated immigration issues, if there is an unlawful presence issue. So we deal with all of that because that all stems from the cases that we take in employment-based scenario and a family-based scenario. So that's the brief intro. I've been doing this for a very long time now. So I'm expert in business immigration and family law immigration.
Thank you, Sonal. We've worked with you for a while, so I can definitely vouch for all of the things that you've helped us with. Everyone else, we will link everything that Sonal mentioned and how to reach her in the description box, so you are able to go check it out and reach out if needed. We also have a live Q&A on Instagram with Sonal. You can go check that out if you haven't been able to join us live on Instagram. I will also share the details about that video and how you can look at that in the description box. So let's begin, Sonal. It is crazy H1B season. I know that you've been very busy with H1B, but I'm sure you get this question a lot, and we would love for you just to hear from you. What are the options for someone whose H1B hasn't been picked? And is it different for STEM versus non-STEM? Would love to understand, considering they both have different number of years as OPT.
Sure. So, well, yeah, this whole lottery thing is crazy, given how many applications are being filed in registration. But so first, let's start with the STEM candidates. If you are in your OPT period right now, then leverage out your 2 more years. You still have 2 more chances before, it's kind of like, okay, what do I do next? So your best option is use your 2 years and keep applying every year. for you to be able to get picked up in lottery. For OPT people, that's kind of like a scary situation because they do not have those extra 2 years, and the first 12 months is that's all they got, and they generally get just one shot at H1B lottery before they have to go back. So in any case, for all these people, even if it is STEM or non-STEM, the other options that are available, that's going to be equally applicable to all these candidates. So there are the first, I'll talk about the easy ones first. One is that you can continue to be a student, right? Once your OPT is over, you can enroll in a second course. I won't suggest doing an English language, that kind of courses, because those are not helpful anyway. You're not gonna get it, CPT, etc. We'll talk about that a little later. But you can definitely enroll in another course at the same level or at a higher level. So if you have done master's, you can enroll in another master's, or you can enroll in another PhD program or higher. So that's simple again, but it's expensive, right? The tuition and everything. And if you don't have a income source coming on, then it's difficult to support yourself. But people who can do it, that's another way to look at it. Next is to move to a dependent visa. If you have a partner or somebody who is already here on some sort of visa, you have an option of go to dependent visa, at least to bridge the gap while you figure out other things for yourself, which might work out depending on your nationality and, you know, where your citizenship or your place of birth. There are other options for those people which are faster. So that's another option to bridge gap, stay here, not leave US, move to dependent visa. Next is L1 visa. L1 visa is basically intra-company transfer. It might not be applicable right now for the people who are in student status, because that kind of cuts off your continuity, but it's still an option if you have an opportunity to go back for a year and then come back on L1 rather than an H1B. That will be a better option because that gives you more option for green card purposes and move faster in that line. Another is O1. I think that's something that people in STEM fields or in research fields or business related fields should consider seriously. The criteria is there, which is very much similar to EB1A, but the standard for O1 is much lower than how they determine and adjudicate for EB1A. So the criteria is similar, but it can be a very good option for people who are either in academics or in research or in medical field doing postdoc research and all those things. That's a very good option. Do explore it. Recently, a few months ago, USCIS actually provided a detailed guidance on O1 and what kind of documents and evidences you can use. That's very helpful if you are trying to build your profile. Look at those examples and then you can start making your case, and you will have a better idea of what you need in terms of documentation to get an O1 easily. So that's a very good viable option. There is another option, treaty-based visas, which is TN, which is for Mexican and Canadian. If you have Canadian citizenship, even though you're born in India or China, you still can leverage that. E3, again, Australian citizenship, no cap on how many years you can work on. It's fairly simple, straightforward. And if you're a professional, you will be able to get an E3. H1-B1 for people who are from Singapore and Chile. They get 5,000 visas every year, which are never reach the mark. So it's always available. And then there is treaty visas, E1 and E2. Those are mostly investor visas, but it's not applicable to Indians. So if our audience is mostly Indian candidates, that's really not something that's going to be helpful. But for others, it can be a viable option. The two more important ones, which are more feasible, is H1B cap exempt, institution of higher education, if you can find a job with them, government research facilities, or any research organization which is affiliated to a higher education institution. They don't have a cap on them. They can file for you anytime in the year. So it's a very good option. Now, one more thing which is coming up, and I will recommend people to go check it out, is Open Avenues Foundation. It's in Massachusetts. They have created a tie-up with universities, and they can hire you as a fellow. Right now, they are looking for the fall admissions. You have to work with them, teach, or whatever the requirements for the program is, 5 hours a week, and they file an H1-B cap exempt for you. What that does is then you can have an H1-B concurrent with another employer who is not cap exempt. So even if you have not picked up in the lottery, if you are employed with a cap exempt employer, it opens up the avenue for you to keep on doing your regular, even if it is IT or any other field, you can continue your regular cap exempt, non-cap exempt employer, as long as you're employed with this cap exempt employer. So do check them out. It's interesting and it's working for many people. That's kind of a way out for people who are not picked up in the H1B cap season. And they also have, and the fields are very wide. It's not just IT, it's business, it's economics, it's micro, bio, molecular chemistry.
Biology,
so it's like really good, gamut of fields they have, which can help people who are either STEM or non-STEM categories. So do check that out. And the last one is CPT. Many people use that, especially IT field people use that because it's easier to get admission in the courses because the requirements of CPT are slightly different and pretty strict. So we'll talk about CPT in a greater detail just after this. So these are basically the main options that you have. And the other option is going straight to green card, which will be in any category, EB1, EB2, EB3, but, or for that matter, EB1, EB4 also, unskilled worker. If somebody has done their bachelor's from here and it's non-STEM, then they only get 1 year of OPT. And now if you're not from India or China and you have an employer who is willing to do a green card for you, you actually could do an EB4 unskilled for yourself to the employer. Or because the requirement will be, if you have an associate degree or something, then that there will be no experience requirement. So that could also work. Again, that depends on the labor market test and everything, whether you have to follow all those, but that's an option. Again, EB3, EB2, EB1, EB1A for yourself. You can self-sponsor if you have all the eligibility and you can establish that. You don't have to be physically in the US for that. So that's another advantage. Even if you have to go, you can still file for yourself under EB1A. So the green card process, I think for Indians and Chinese might not work because of the long delays. But for other nationalities, definitely an option where they can look at it.
Thank you so much, Sonal. So like everyone who's watching, we have covered a ton of options. So there is an exhaustive list of options that Sonal has covered. But if you're a South Asian or if you are an Indian and you're like kind of lost, there are two really actionable things that you can look at. One is H1B cap exempt. We have also done a detailed video on that. So we will link that in the description box. And then current opportunities in Boston that you can pursue and that can give you a little more time. Outside of that, on our channel, we have covered extensively on EB1A and how you can leverage that. So if you have more questions about that, you want us to create more content around that or bring Sonal back to talk about any of those topics, do leave a comment in the description box. But for everyone who was kind of feeling lost, I hope this was helpful and it gives you some options to leverage. Again, I will be sharing every detail of that was mentioned, how to reach out to Sonal in the description box so you can check it out in case you want to explore that avenue. But thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much, Sonal. Have a wonderful day, everyone. If you found this helpful, please share it with someone. Please like, share, and subscribe and follow It's Okay Yaar on Instagram. Have a wonderful day.
You too.